I think it was last night, a reporter with Vice magazine try and get through a media line. He was there with several other members of the media. He didn't have his credentials, his Vice News credentials with him, but it was pretty clear that he was a journalist, and it wasn't looking like the police are going to let him through the media line, saying, no, we need to see that you are an accredited journalist, because somehow that makes your First Amendment rights more important. I don't know.
And that's something I wanted to stop and pause on, the accredited journalist thing. Didn't we have this conversation either late last year, early this year, about Congress wanting to put regulations on what what it constitutes a journalist, that there was some sort of bar that one had to meet in order
to... They were going to give them some exception to a law, because if you're a journalist, then it was the Journalist Shield Law, wasn't it?
There you go. There you go.
Yes.
And yeah, if you were employed by or paid by a particular organization, then you were a journalist and you were shielded from. And it's like, no, journalists are citizens, and they are governed by the Constitution just like everyone else. Period.
Well, and the press was always understood to mean the means of distributing opinion, the means of distributing information. It was never meant as a profession to be, the First Amendment was talking about freedom of the press. They meant the access to actual machines that could help you disseminate your opinion.
Right, printing a leaflet and handing it out. You can stand on a street corner and hand a piece of paper to people. You can talk about whatever you want. You can talk about it out loud. You can talk about it in writing. Period.
And what we're seeing, and there's a whole bunch of issues with the journalist situation in Ferguson. On the one hand, you have police officers who feel as though they need to protect journalists, because if they don't, bad things could happen, and that would be the story. That's always difficult when journalists get into dangerous situations, and then police are not doing just their jobs. They're also running protection for journalists. It's a little bit difficult. But also, the question, it begs the question whether the presence of so much media is emboldening some of the people that are acting out, ending up rioting and looting, because they know that there's so much press around, whether there are people that are just protesters who are acting a little more aggressively simply because there's a camera trained on them. I don't know, but the whole thing about last night, the credentialed journalist thing, just stuck in my craw over that whole bit about the Shield Law before, because here you have people who could be walking around in the crowd documenting the agitation, but if they're not accredited journalists, they might not be able to go and do those things. It's crazy.
Well, and I think at this point we should be nearing a point in society where we realize that we are all journalists, because we are all, by virtue of our smartphones that we have with us, we are all our own cameramen, and because we can be live uploading and live tweeting, we are all publishing a newspaper at every moment, every day.
Everybody put your cameras up in the air. Everybody put your cameras up in the air. Put your cell phones up in the air. Everyone put your cell phones and your Blackberries up in the air. We have a sea of new media here to capture the lies.